Okay, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the MI podcast. As you see, I've done quite a few episodes, in explainer videos, uh, talking about different types of marketing techniques, something that is trending, something but aspiring marketers or marketers who are working in the industry can learn from. So today is another interesting episode, and it's obviously a guest special. So we have with us Vrinda Tekchandani. She's joining us, I think, from Jaipur, and she'll tell us a little bit about herself.
Hey, hi Nikhil. Thank you so much for having me, and was really looking forward to this session. So yeah, right, like you rightly mentioned, I've joined from Jaipur, and that's actually my hometown. But interestingly, I've been working remotely for the last 3 years, thanks to COVID. It has really changed the style that we all are working in now in the globally actually, and I've done a lot of global projects. So a lot of times when I say people that I'm working from Jaipur, it sounds like, okay, what are you really doing? But like, I'm working in Web3, which is a global thing right now. It's so much into trend, and I'm into Web3 marketing, and it's super exciting. So just a quick introduction about myself. I'm a hardcore marketer, and I did my master's back then in 2014-16 from IBS Business School, Mumbai. When I sort of explored my interest towards marketing, I used to really enjoy attending branding and marketing classes, and that's when I sort of, because before that I was doing CA. It's like, I'm actually highlighting this because I want the audience to know that it's so important to really love the subject that you make your career in. While I was doing CA, I never felt that alignment inherently coming in. I was like literally a final student, but I never felt happy about it. Like, while I used to go for classes, I never used to enjoy it as much. And while I did my, and then that's when I took a call to do my MBA. And while I did my MBA, while I was studying these subjects, marketing, finance, HR, marketing came so naturally to me. Like, it felt like, okay, this is something that really excites me. And the
Hmm.
branding campaigns,
Initially, you getting into CA, what was like the reason for that?
the reason was quite because that time, we are like from the millennial generation. There was like this lack, I wouldn't say lack of awareness, but we always used to feel like, okay, either you get into the top 2 3 colleges of Delhi University, or you just go for like a professional course, and you don't want to settle for the second best thing. So those were the only two options in my head that time, that either I get into SRCC or LSR, and or I just go for a professional degree along with my graduation. So that's when I just went for it, because we were just told like that, okay, just do CA, your life will be sorted. So there was so much of pure this thing around us as millennials that time, and we had very few options in our own head, to be honest. uh,
That's right.
Things have really changed
It was
now, I would
more
say.
like you used to see, what your friends are doing, family is doing. If there is somebody, a family member has been successful in a certain
Yeah,
career or a certain career in the media, it is considered, like lucrative. Then we kind of try to
yeah,
follow that path. But obviously, that's not suggested.
absolutely. Absolutely. So that's how it started, and it was like, the option that I was like, okay, either this or this. Let's just go for CA. That's how I decided, and then I was like literally doing it with my graduation. So I was in finals, and that's when I realized that, yeah, I'm not enjoying this. Like, I hate going to these tuitions every morning at 6 a.m. I'm not like, I don't feel like I'm gaining anything else in terms of my overall personality development. It's just like I'm a robot who's sitting in a room and tired, and I'm expected to study because that's how the curriculum is. And when you actually start comparing your personality to a course, it makes a lot of sense, because a lot of times you don't have that personality where it is suitable to a particular course, and that course needs that rigor. You know what I'm saying? So it's very
That's right.
important to identify that. I think for a lot of young people especially, it's very important to identify what do you really resonate with, when it comes to the rigor of a curriculum as well. So anyway, cutting short, long story short, actually, I then decided, okay, let's just do my masters, and then I'll study different subjects in management like HR, finance, marketing. I'll keep myself very open, and then I'll decide which field am I really enjoying. And then that's when I actually studied marketing, it gave me a real kick. The how branding happens, how the product uh, is sort of like bone, and marketing is a muscle. That a product, how no matter how much ever solid product you make, if you're not marketing it well, then it doesn't make sense at all. So like all these big campaigns, even if a startup does or a big company like HUL does, it's as important for any size of company. Like marketing is super important, and that really gave me that kick that time that, yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying this. This is exciting. And I think I'm also a type A personality, which I studied about that time. It's a very interesting subject. Maybe later during the conversation we can talk about it. There are two kinds of
That's right.
personalities, type A and type B. So type A are normally like marketeers, the ones who are very creative, intuitive people. So I think I was that personality, and I sort of made all these uh, conclusions about my own self that time, and that's how I took a call that, yeah, I want to get into this field and I want to make big here. And then I took marketing, and that's when the journey started. And then it's been six,
That's
seven
right.
years
That's
that
right.
I'm in this field. Yeah,
Yes, yes. Definitely, we'll cover the aspects also of your journey as a marketer. But I think we'll just
yeah,
start in a discussion. This podcast would be heavy into app and influencer marketing since
yeah,
you have worked more within that, and we'll get into
yeah,
more, questions that technical also on an aspect of creative level. So I think we'll kind of start off on that. So
sure.
firstly,
Looking forward.
as you are marketing a particular app, it is the particular audience that you have to target, right? Like how do you identify that particular audience online and then get their attention? So you can just take us through a little bit that, like, how do you start off this particular, because that is the first thing in marketing, you're identifying the right TG. So how do you kind of start and go about this?
So, I mean, yeah, that's actually the most important question that we ourselves ask as marketeers every single day, right? From the time that we start building our GTM, which is go to market strategy. So, how do you understand your audience? What are you exactly catering to? Because that's a very integral part of the strategy. So, there are quite a few things that, like play a role there. Like, for example, I'll just begin with, because we're talking about app marketing here, I would like to really emphasize on ASO, which is App Store Optimization, where you sort of need to really be very smart with your keywords that you're using. You need to use the keywords which really work for your app. For example, if it's a DeFi wallet, which is the current product that I'm working in, so it's the keywords could be like self custody, Web3 wallet, um, DeFi app. So like you have to really identify those keywords that, like Web3. It's a big keyword. There's a lot of like search which happens around Web3 on the App Store as well. So in order for your app to actually come on the top in terms of the organic research, your ASO has to be very strong. Like you have to be very specific with the keywords that you're using. Then you have to be very specific with the visuals that you're using. So like for example, how does your app look like what is the interface like, what are those top 2 to 3 selling points that you want to highlight in your app. Like for example, in case of like Zomato, it's quick delivery, right? Like quick delivery covering all areas, like even a small village and a big city. So we cover everything basically. We deliver everywhere. So these
Hmm.
features, it's very important to highlight it while you're doing the App Store optimization as well, because customers actually go through those screenshots before they download your app. And if that looks good to them visually, and if that makes sense to them logically as well, that okay, this is something that I resonate with, and this is something that I would like to, because nowadays there are so many apps, Nikhil, honestly, that nobody wants to have so many apps in their phones. They would only keep an app if it's giving them a real like benefit as a user on a day to day basis. So even while
That's right.
downloading the app, all these factors are very carefully considered by a customer, and as a marketer it's our
Hmm.
responsibility to sort of take care of these
So,
elements.
Vrinda, maybe for the audience a little bit, we'll not take those apps which are really big mainstream, because obviously everyone is a customer for them. But
Yeah,
like little bit more niche ones, so that we can, obviously many of the viewers also are working in small, medium-sized companies where maybe there's a more of a niche audience or more targeted. So in that, you can take us through how do you identify this audience and then strategy to reach out to them.
got it. Sure. So yeah, so ASO is one part. Then, talking about the user, how do you do the user acquisition basically? So there are quite a few things. And also, I would like to highlight that as much as user acquisition is important, user retention is also important from day one. Like, even if you have
Mhm.
10 users, retaining those 10 users is very, very important, because retention is organically not very high in case of app marketing, like I said, because there are so many apps out there which are providing the same, like Zomato is doing the same business as a Swiggy is doing, or even a Blinkit is doing today. So it's very important to kind of uh, you know be very smart with your acquisition and your retention strategy. Now I'll quickly talk about acquisition, how it works. So there are quite a few things that are a part of GTM, which is like, uh, first of all, paid acquisitions is something that is definitely very important. So like, you run paid ads on, like, Google, on Instagram, on Twitter. You promote your app, you do ads there. Again, I won't dive deep into it, because then paid ads itself is a big topic that we can talk about,
Yeah,
because
that's
it
a separate
includes.
performance marketing and all. Yeah.
Correct. So I'll just quickly, like, take you through what all, covers, what all do we cover when it comes to the acquisition strategy. So paid ads is one element. Then there is SEO, which plays a huge role. But that plays a huge role in the longer run. So like, if your SEO strategy is on point, then like, especially for a company that is starting off with, definitely paid acquisition and paid activities require a huge budget. But in the longer run, SEO, if your SEO game is up, which is search engine optimization. I'm sure everyone knows that now, because we've started using this term as much as it's quite common now. There's a lot more awareness, I would say, as compared to what it was before about SEO. Brands have started to realize the importance of SEO, because that's what gives you the organic traffic eventually, when people are searching for you organically on Google. And if your SEO strategy is on point in terms of the branded and non-branded keywords that you're using in your website, on your app, and you have a dedicated team who is working for that as well, in the longer run you will see the result of it. And it's obviously not a heavy paid effort. But having said that, user acquisition involves other activities as well. A very important lever would be content marketing. So your content marketing has to be solid. It has to be very, very user friendly. And like, let's say if you're into a tech product, which is as it is very complicated to understand for a user, but your content marketing has to be that smart that it makes the entire use case very simple for the user to
That's great.
understand, that okay, in
Because
my day
I've
to day this is how it's
definitely,
helping.
I think the first thing when we see when there's very specific niche product, like for example, about fitness, maybe you're logging in your workouts or something. So when those people are Googling those things, they are looking for information. Somewhere or the other, your company blog should come, right? Or something you've
Yeah,
written online. So that is a very kind of
absolutely.
an intrinsic. That's why content is at the core. I mean, an example I gave, at least I would say 70% of its marketing of a company like that would be into content to get, discovered organically, because that's the best case that
Yeah,
you want.
absolutely. Like, content marketing is a huge umbrella. It's like a backbone of business these days. It doesn't just apply in SEO, it also applies in social media, it also applies on your website content. Your, again, ASO is also like, putting across relevant content out there. So it doesn't have to be like a heavy. Nobody has nowadays, Nikhil, also there's a very interesting shift that's happening when it comes to the audience, right? people don't have time to consume a lot of content. Nobody wants to watch like a hour long video, or like a long form blog, until they are at a point where they really like want to dive deep into it. In the beginning, when I'm
Yes.
looking at a product as a viewer, I just want to watch like a quick
Yes.
video, and if that
Plus,
makes
but
sense to me.
please listen to this podcast for that I would, because yeah, obviously they will look at in terms of short content has to
Yeah,
be a lot to then come along. Obviously, people like even on YouTube and other channels, you kind of break down your video. You have timestamps where they get
yeah,
to the part, because obviously the audience patience is increasingly deteriorating,
absolutely.
and
Yeah,
then you kind of have to make sure that they are getting this snackable content to also consume, and then be part, maybe purchase a product, or at least be an audience of it.
absolutely. Which is why, like, that shift is very interesting for a marketer to understand that content has to be very smart and very like quick in terms of consumption from a user. You have to always think. So there's one rule in marketing, Nikhil, that we always apply, is that always think from a user standpoint, not from, okay, what's convenient for us as a company, or what's saving our money in terms of budgets. No, you have to think as a user, what makes sense to the user that's ultimately going to use our product. And if your strategy is not making sense from that lens, then honestly, even if you spend like $100,000, it will not get you anything.
That's right.
So you have to, at every step, you have
So
to keep thinking about the customer.
yes, yes. Now we'll come to like specifics about the particular app store,
Yeah,
iOS store, and all these things. What you're gonna have to do on them to increase your visibility. So you can just take us through that, because obviously there are a lot of apps, like maybe you just search for something like that, like it's a small productivity tool or something like say you're logging in your finances also. So something we do searches, so there also
yeah.
there have to be visibility. So in that optimization, in that space, you can like tell us a bit, a few tips and what all you do.
Sure. That's a very interesting area to look at. So when it comes to sort of targeting specific users, for example, we can just talk about like a food delivery app. Okay, so the relevance of keywords that you use, that makes a lot of difference. So if it's a food delivery app, then the keywords could be around like we also discussed earlier, that quick delivery, or like convenience and lot of options. So like so you have to be very careful. If it's a finance app, then it's going to be like safety, trust, uh, like security, because those are the elements. Risk appetite, so those are the elements, like low risk, more returns. So these are the different keywords that you have to sort of keep working on. And it's honestly, it's not just like you've decided it once and that's it. You have to keep doing A/B testing as well. Every few months, you have to keep testing whether this is working or not for my target audience. Whether these keywords are actually, although they say that okay, this you take a decision basis the data that you have, like the search
That's
that's
right.
already there,
So
right,
Vrinda, you have
using
been
different tools.
involved in the, say, SEO of the like the brands that you have worked in terms of the apps and the other tools they have.
Yeah, I mean, from a macro lens, yes, we do have dedicated teams for SEO, but since I am more of a generalist, I have a broad level view of how it works. So yeah,
That's
I,
right.
I do have
So in
a
terms
fair
of,
idea.
say, any path you can give to a marketer who is shortlisting the keywords. So like, what do you kind of look at categorization of the keywords, say location based or function or something
Yeah,
that you can look at, that then I can
yeah,
divide my keywords, not like just in a
yeah,
random way, kind
yeah,
of just thinking of things and just putting it down, like any kind of a pathway for that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, of course. So there are, you have to focus on keywords which have significant search volume in general. So like whatever keywords that have high search volume should definitely be a part of your content, be it on the website or blogs or your ASO. So because that has a large potential audience base, and but at the same time, Nikhil, you have to be very careful about because uh, competition is going to be very high in case of these keywords. So that's when long tail keywords and broad keywords game comes into picture. So like I mean, just to give a quick example on how that works. So like a long tail keyword would be like, for example, you're marketing a crypto wallet. So like best crypto wallet for optimizing your earnings on crypto, on your
Mhm.
existing crypto versus just a crypto wallet. So long
That's
tail keywords gives user a bit more context. It's a bit more detailed basis what user really is looking for in terms of the usage of that app. So what's that functionality that user is looking for? So you dive a little deeper into it. But the benefit of that is long tail keywords is that you end up getting relevant users like, for example, I am searching for earning passive income on my crypto, right?
mhm.
So on app store, I'll not just put crypto, I'll put passive income on crypto. And that's when if the marketer has used that long tail keyword, that app will automatically pop up on the top, and as a
That's right.
customer, I'll be able to download it before any other app.
Content is
So
also obviously to optimize SEO. You have to have content on your particular app or your website for those to
absolutely.
come. So those long tails are a kind of a reference to create content, and then that will
Yeah.
then can be consumed by a prospective user.
Yeah. Long tail keyword is it's basically like diving deep into the keyword strategy, that you're diving deep into the niche basis, the functionality, or let's say the USP of what your product does. It's not just a crypto wallet, but it's a crypto wallet that helps you earn passive income on your crypto. It's a food delivery app that empowers a user to order food from anywhere. So like going a little more deeper into the product, so that's where long tail keywords come into pictures. It also helps you understand the user intent, that what is it that user is exactly looking for. So and then again, competition is also a huge, it plays a huge game. So like you have to also assess the level of competition that's there for specific keywords. So like targeting less competitive keywords, for example, can provide you that opportunity to improve the visibility, right? So like I spoke about this earlier as well, that keywords that have a high search volume will always have a low chance of performing, because there are already a lot of people using that keyword in the market. And nowadays, like, there is heavy competition in every industry, be it food tech, be it FMCG, be it beauty, skincare. It's there are so many apps for just one product. So it's very important to have a very smart SEO and this ASO strategy in place,
That's right.
where content plays a huge role. Of course, content is everywhere. We're just not limiting it to one thing. It's in social media, it's in ASO, it's in SEO, it's everywhere. You know.
That's right. Okay, so obviously people have a perception of marketing that it is all the activities you do to get the consumers, but there is a within app marketing. Obviously, you have to look
Yeah.
at retention, upselling, cross selling, obviously also. So, in terms of that, for apps, you can like take us through this like the retention strategies and also a little bit about then obviously optimizing for the companies the bottom line to getting better in terms of from the particular clients. And also if you could take us through a little bit and then we will dig deeper into that.
Sure. So it's very interesting how this works, because it's I wouldn't say it's easy to acquire a user. That's just the first heavy step, user acquisition. But at the same time, I also spoke about this earlier, that it's important to sort of retain the user, and that can only happen when you're very very strong with your analyzing the behavior and the engagement within the app. So a lot of tools actually come into picture. So like Google Analytics is one tool that gives you like a macro level view of where your users are coming from, like the geographies, the and that's when you actually start identifying that, okay, this is my target market for the next quarter, for example, because I'm getting a lot of traffic from, like, for example, like US or UK or Southeast Asia. So Google Analytics is a first step where, as a marketer or a
That's right.
growth marketer, you
Those who
understand,
are
right?
using your app also, for marketers, you have to pay attention to obviously the locations also. You get some kind of an idea that maybe users from a certain region are using your app more, or they are more time they are spending on it, so that can give you an
Yeah.
indication of communication to them.
Absolutely. So like that essentially falls under user segmentation and also event tracking. So I'll just talk a little bit more about that. So when it comes to event tracking, it's like you monitor like different actions of your user, like in-app purchases or like button clicks. Let's say like a user is coming on your app and clicking on a certain feature. I'll quickly talk about Zomato because it's easier for audience to understand how that works. So like when I go on Zomato app, I just quickly go on top, like 50% offer that's just running on the top. And then I go there and I go through some options that are there, but I drop off because I don't find anything interesting, because it's like up to 50%, but when I actually go to different offers, it's like 10%, 15%, 20%. As a user, in my head, I thought it's going to be 50%, but it's like 10, 20, 30. I'm disappointed, I drop off. Okay, so that as a user, that's how it works. But as a marketer, when you go back to it, it will look like, okay, we are not giving user enough incentive for real to be able to make a purchase, because we are telling them that we are giving you up to 50%, and maybe user came with that intent of ordering,
Hmm.
let's say 50% discount, but dropped off after seeing the list of restaurants because it's up to 50%. So that is event tracking. So that's how you track the behavior of your customer, whether you're really offering that value to your customer or not in the backend. So if your event tracking shows that a lot of users are dropping off, that clearly means your campaign is not as successful as you thought it could be, because it's not really appealing to the user. So that
Hmm.
is one. Then it really helps you understand the user interactions and behavior at a very granular level, like different like features that are there on your app. So like there is something, a new feature that you just launched as an app, and you're very excited about it as a marketer, but maybe like it's not that appealing to a user because that's not what user is looking for. So if, let's say, your number of clicks on that particular feature that you just launched is very low, you can actually have different. Now I'll just dive a little deeper into it. So there could be different cohorts that are there. So there could be different cohorts of users that are high intent users who would click on that feature, go and explore it, and then make a purchase from there. There could be some cohorts who did feel excited when they saw that new feature app launch. They clicked on the button, they went there, but then they just dropped off the app, they closed the app, they're not interested further. That's perhaps because maybe the entire value addition that's there that happens till the end is not as exciting to a user. It could be anything. It could be like an extra convenience fee that you're charging. It could be, in case of a DeFi wallet, it's a gas fee. Maybe for a user, it's not making a lot of financial sense to invest, because initially you say that I'm giving you this much discount, and then by the end you are just like rubbing off that discount, and you're charging taxes, convenience fee, delivery charges, etc. User might drop off seeing that,
That's right.
because at the end of the day, purchase is what matters, right? So these are
Hmm.
different cohorts which
That's
in the
right.
back
Like
end you can
where
actually form.
marketers can pay attention to, like false, if there are too much of false promises per
Yeah,
se, you when you see on your app 50% this or
yeah,
one on one free and all, and when you go to
yeah.
it, then this thing, because over a period of time, it builds the frustration within that audience, and then could even lead to, they're not continuing to use the app.
Absolutely. So that's exactly when event uh this thing comes into picture, and funnel analysis comes into picture. User segmentation. So like you also segment your users basis their behaviors, demographics, engagement levels. So you also study different behavior patterns that your users showcase. in the back end, and you gain insights from it. And then, like as I spoke about cohort analysis, where you sort of observe different behaviors of different users and identify those common characteristics that are there. What it helps you with is, in the long term, user retention, engagement, and conversion rate. Because once you understand that these are my cohort of users who are high intent, they are just literally looking at my campaign ad, they are going and they are making a purchase. They don't really care much about the additional taxes or convenience fees that I'm charging, for example. They are just making the purchase. These are my high intent users, okay? But the users who are going and then at the end they're not making a purchase after looking at the additional charges that you're taking, like logistic charges or whatever it could be, those are not as high intent users, but they are slightly, like, they want to buy my product, but they are not necessarily high intent users. But these are important users. You can't just let go of them. You have to probably do other personalized campaigns for this particular cohort who reached till the end but did not make a purchase just because of some additional charges that you charged.
That's right. So,
you
Vrinda,
know
in terms of, say, the upselling and cross-selling part, where you have customers who have been loyal, they have been, let's say, investing a lot of their uh, money into that particular service. How would you kind of design something, if you could take us through with an example, or in general also, where you have the
yeah,
premium customer, like for example in Swiggy, you have that Swiggy One, or I think in Zomato also it was Zomato Gold. So
yeah,
something is more customized to them, where
yeah.
he's made to feel special, as well as there are genuine benefits also.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, I think a lot of apps are doing this these days, that they're identifying. In fact, they are very, very fast to identify these top loyal customers who are there, and it also makes a lot of business sense, because those are the folks who will actually become your ambassadors in the longer run. Those are the folks who will help you form your community, because there will be a lot of word of mouth. Like today, if I'm happy with an app, I'll tell it to ten other friends of mine that, yeah,
Hmm.
this app is
That's
really
like
good. Yeah,
brand
you
advocates
should
that
use it.
we refer to as.
Exactly. Brand evangelists, advocates, ambassadors. We can literally, like, there are so many terms for it now. But the intent is to kind of create those loyalists for your brand, right? So, just answering your question, there are different things that you do for these users, right? So, like, if I'm a regular user of any app, there would be some personal onboarding experience that I would have. Uh, for example, on, like, since we have been discussing food delivery apps, so I think we can stick to that. If I'm ordering a lot from different cafes versus restaurants, like I'm a cafe person, I'm ordering like coffee every day, right? uh, the company will actually, like Swiggy will observe that, make a note of it, the growth team of Swiggy. They will purposely show me, like, more personalized cafe options, because they know that, this customer loves to order food from a cafe over a restaurant or any other place. So, like, a very personalized experience. Like, they will start showing me like a lot of good cafes around me where I can offer food from. That's a very basic example, but just to give you like that sense of how the personalized onboarding happens. So, like, whatever features are appealing to me as a customer is what the company will try to show me while onboarding, while the onboarding journey that I have. The push notifications also, for that matter. Like, let's say I'll just talk about a finance app here. I have, like, let's say, bought a SIP recently using Kotak app. Kotak now knows that, this customer is more of an investor than a risk taker, because I'm investing in SIP. I'm not investing in stocks on a regular
Hmm.
basis. They will start sending me more push notifications around, like, some other products like SIP. There are so many other tons of products which are more of like an investor persona versus a trader
Hmm.
persona, right?
Hmm.
So
So
that's
it's something
how the
like they've
targeting happens.
identified a certain trigger that puts you into a
Yeah.
certain segment. Okay. Okay.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. And that's very interesting how it works. So your push notifications are also personalized. If you also notice on your day-to-day basis, you will only get push notifications that make sense to you, and they will keep sending you push notifications of a genre that you've been following. Like even in case of Amazon, if you have gone through a uh, food section, or like a denim section specifically, let's just talk about a niche, they will keep sending you push notifications when there is an offer on denims, because they've understood
Mhm.
that this person wants to buy a denim, and then they'll keep bugging you until you actually make that purchase. So that's what
That's right.
happens when it comes to app marketing.
Or
It's
something which
personalized
you wear
pushing.
with denims, which would go with denims, then those
Absolutely. Like upsell,
products. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So,
So
and
here for
gamification,
yeah.
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So the like in that an example in e-commerce, say shopping and all would be the jeans. Say you're getting a like a tee which is suitable for them. That is like a cross selling, or there could be
Absolutely.
like socks or some kind of say fancy leather shoes that go along, because you're kind of identified there's certain kind of jeans you bought. You can identify, this kind of person will purchase the same. And upselling would be then a little bit more premium level after some time. I would never suggest that to do it immediately. When you've already bought, you then
Yeah,
putting another brand which is in the same category only. But after some time, maybe a more premium level jeans or something can be targeted. So I feel the audience should also understand it's like not like very reactive. This is a full
yeah,
strategy you have to follow, and over a period of time. Like I've even heard that there was certain like retargeting tools where certain persons say they want a vehicle insurance. Say it lasts for a year, 12 months, then maybe after that time you'll get a ad again, when you purchase
yeah,
that for something. So it can be as advanced as that also. So it's kind of a long term
yeah.
thing which should kind of look at and work on it, on a daily basis.
I agree, but just one additional point to what you just said. While it's also long term, it's also very important to sometimes be very like proactive, because there is, like, for example, if I've already purchased jeans, then later on if you send me something which is pairing up with my jeans, I might not be as interested because I've already made
Hmm.
that purchase. So as a marketer, it's also very important to like immediately react on the opportunity that's there in front of you while you plan long
That's
term. Absolutely, but it's also very very integral. Before you lose the customer, or before that customer has already made a purchase, you immediately
that's right.
cross
That's
sell or upsell, right?
yes,
So
yes,
so being very proactive is very very integral when it
yes.
comes to app marketing.
So both, yeah, definitely both strategies would work. And the one I mentioned, this is a little bit when you are working, for the really big companies and you have that
Yeah,
strategies in place. This might not be suitable for like you have a small e-commerce store, you're selling candles or something. So
yeah,
yeah, it
yeah,
depends. So, because marketing is all about the audience, the budget, and
yeah,
how at that moment that company can invest in various techniques. Awesome. So we'll go
absolutely.
to yes. Um, in
So
terms of
Nikhil, just before we move on, I would also
yeah,
like to like let the audience know there are a few other things like loyalty programs, reward programs that companies do to kind of retain their loyal customers. And there
mm,
is also something called deep linking and app retargeting, which happens when like we spoke about that use case where someone has shown interest in your app but hasn't made any action. So how you retarget those customers and how you sort
mm,
of create that
that's right. No,
strategy.
I was coming to that only actually.
Yeah,
I'll this thing that. So
sure.
yes, so the
Oh, okay, sure.
audience now we'll kind
Awesome.
of cover about the re-engagement part of, because many times we just download the app. It could be impulsive. We just saw an ad on Instagram, a reel ad,
Mm.
and then we just downloaded the app, and we are not kind of using it. Or maybe you've used it for some time. It could be like a game also, and then maybe we are busy. We don't like really have time for that, and just kind of lose track. So, and this is very important
Yeah,
for, like, for example, in gaming industry, that the person comes back on that. So if you can cover a little bit about the re-engagement bit of it.
yeah. So, like we already spoke a bit about that. Like honestly, push notifications, in-app messaging are the two like top strategies that marketers have. Like personalized push notifications and in-app marketing, like showing people. now here, because you've lost the user in the beginning itself, you have to A/B test with a uh, few value props, because it's not a fixed pattern that you can identify, because you really don't know what is the high level intent of a user here, because user has come to your app and hasn't made a purchase, but is is interested in your product for sure. So you have to like experiment with few value props. Like it could be a discount, it could be a coupon code, it could be like free delivery, it could be anything, but you have to keep experimenting and keep sending those personalized push notifications and have that direct interaction with the user on a regular basis, and then see. Uh, but at the same time, I would also highly suggest marketers to understand that it's important to not bug your users a lot. It's because then it feels like, the company is being very pushy, and I might just end up uninstalling the app. So it's very important to also be very careful with the frequency of your push notifications and your messaging that you're
Hmm.
doing with your users. It should not feel like, yeah, it's a scam hai. This company
That's
feels
right.
like Bajaj Finance. Today, I don't even like I've blacklisted them, but yet they keep calling me. So like I'm so
Hmm.
annoyed at a level that, if someone calls me from Bajaj Finance, I'm like, yeah, please stop calling me.
Hmm.
They feel
That's
like
right.
scammers to me because they're just excessively
And
marketing.
Vrinda, what do you feel like I feel about the bank marketing that happens like in BFSI? It can be there's a lot of scope for improvement because in terms of the process, I feel it's not kind of streamlined and there is too much of pushiness in it. I don't know. There are a lot of agencies working for them, but what do you feel? What do you suggest for BFSI companies? Like have a better overall marketing experience for prospective customers.
I think BFSI needs to really, like, as much as the industry is going, they also need to respect the privacy of the customer. So like regularly following up. So I see a lot of telecalling happening when it comes to BFSI, which is not the case with other like Web 2 companies. If you see, or even Web 3, people would not keep bugging you. They respect your privacy, and that's where, as a customer, you develop that trust as well, that okay, like it's my decision to make at the end of the day. They are sending me notifications, that's fine, but that is because I've given that permission to them, because in your phone there is a
Mhm.
feature where you let a certain app send you notifications or not. So I'm not like somebody is not spamming me with those continuous calls or emails, which I think in the banking sector it happens a lot. Like they keep bugging you. They will keep cross selling you. Like every day I get calls from 10 banks at least to sell me like personal loans. And especially I think another big thing is that there should be something around the data breach that happens, because as a
That's
customer
right.
today I have no link with Axis Bank, but Axis Bank has my contact. Every bank has my, like, so
Yes,
that
yes, yes.
database of customers is just spread
Once
everywhere.
you in that industry, like once your contact goes for any kind of inquiry or some way or the other you mention to somebody within the bank, then you get calls from the other banks also. So there's somewhere they have to maintain,
Yeah,
that data. I don't know the term for it, but in terms of like a privacy or whatever, I don't know exactly, but certain ethics they have to maintain. Also a little bit of
yeah,
centralization in terms of how you do the process, not like have multiple agencies working for you who are just going to
yeah.
given a target to just do a sale without
Sell,
any kind
yeah,
of a
yeah,
this thing. There has to be good processes in place which they have a long time to go in terms of implementing them, because there are quite a few flaws in that. But I feel they should learn from certain other industries. Like also there are huge unicorns. You have Zerodra, you have Grow and all. How
yeah,
do you think like they are not into this calling and but they are in the same business of investing?
yeah,
So how they have captured, how they have used maybe marketing better than just using push base
yeah. I was,
sales and
yeah,
all. Yeah.
yeah. It's not, that's what I was actually, you as you rightly mentioned, it's not just telemarketing. Like there is so much more to marketing. So I think banks are still following the traditional methods of marketing, where they are, while it's good to be in touch with your customers on phone calls, but it should only be to a certain extent, otherwise it becomes very pushy. So they really need to pace up their game when it comes to marketing. Like I don't see a lot of banks using influencer marketing, for example. They don't use a lot of like content marketing. They're not like obviously they are doing content marketing, but the focus is not that. Like if you go on an SBI's website, it is so slow. And another very important factor, I feel like banking, they're not very highly focused on the UI and UX of the app. So like if you compare even a HDFC app to a Blinkit, trust me, you will be
Hmm.
like Blinkit is so much better than
Yeah,
HDFC in terms of the user experience, the user journey.
that's right.
So they, I don't think they're focusing a lot on app marketing as it is.
Hmm.
They are like हमारे website पे जाओ, वहाँ पे हमारे customer care पे बात
That's
करो.
right.
They are still
Yeah,
in that era of customer care.
that's why the fintech industry, it grew so much and it took away the clients of the bank also industry because of that great UI experience that you get.
Yeah, you have to be creative, you have to really evolve basis your customers. Like you're catering to Gen Z now, like millennials are even gone now, it's Gen Z, literally. So you have to like really
That's
pace
right.
up your game when it comes to marketing. Yeah.
That's right. Also, now when we work in app marketing, you have to work with the product marketer. You have the various engineers also working on the app. So, what would you suggest in terms of a way of working where all these teams are working in sync?
So like it's as a marketeer, it's always like integral to be at pace with whatever your like product team and your growth team is doing, because like you should know from scratch as to what they are thinking, what's the product market fit that they have in their mind. How is the product built for the audience that you are planning to cater to, like as a part of your GTM as a marketeer. So as you rightly said, it's very important. So I think since now we are in that culture where there is a hybrid setup everywhere, people are working across the globe, it's very important to have like a weekly catch up or a bi-weekly catch up with different teams. And your meetings should be very agenda specific. For example, you're discussing a certain campaign that's upcoming, and that as a marketing team you're planning. So it's very important to take product and growth team in loop and understand their
That's right.
vision,
I've
and
also
then create
noticed
your
this. So I
campaign.
have worked in kind of teams, and I would like to suggest to a lot of working professionals also. So when you're working, I feel you shouldn't just be about reporting to your boss and doing those things. Obviously, it's part of it, but other teams also contribute to your success. Also, even if you take it as a very selfish this thing that I'm working to grow my career, but everyone has a part to play in it. So when you have that approach, then you work, like, so for example, marketing, you're working with the design team, or you have writers, or UI UX also. So that has to be there. Obviously, when you have the head of the company who is kind of define various things, you use proper work planning tools, you're maintaining projects also, where who is kind of in that process, who is in it at the moment, who is the person who is kind of delaying it and all those things. If in setup also is great, but the honest working, it could sound very repetitive and cliche, like as a team is kind of important, because end of the day that will only help grow. Because as a marketer, I'm sure when you all go for interviews or where you're presenting, you could be freelancing, they will obviously ask about the success of that particular product
Yeah,
or that brand. And that happens when all the departments are working in sync, everybody's doing the job. Then you're
absolutely.
also, it gets highlighted. Like, how does a marketing campaign really do well? Is because everything is also working in, sync, that full product experience. Yes. So that is
Absolutely.
just bit of my two
Marketing
cents
can
of it. Yeah.
never, yeah, marketing, you're absolutely bang on, Nikhil. Marketing can never work in silos. Marketing has to be working in collaboration, and it's not an option. It is that it's a mandate. You have to do it in order to be a successful marketeer, in order to be a success, in order to launch a successful campaign for your product. Because growth team का जॉब होता है रिटेन करना कस्टमर्स को, एंड मार्केटिंग टीम का जॉब होता है कस्टमर्स मतलब उनको support करना in terms of retention and also to get new customers for the company. Marketing is like the face of the company, right? Like our major goal is acquiring customers, whereas we have to support growth team in terms of retaining the customers, because it's all marketing assets that at the end of the day are used for those campaigns, like you rightly said, right? So it's and product is ultimately what you're selling to your customers. So product team is, like I initially mentioned, is the bone and marketing is a muscle. I like to put it that way. So
That's
that's
right.
how we roll.
Yes, yes, that's a very nice analogy. So, coming to, obviously, you worked quite a few years as an app marketer, and you work for brands where people have really household names, and also for I would like to know from you that your valuable learnings that you can give to the youth, because as you know, a lot of people, they are working for apps, and they would like to optimize the way they work and get success for the same.
Absolutely. Would love that. So, as an app marketer, I think the most important learning is to keep learning, keep unlearning. Market is changing so fast. The trends are changing so fast. Now AI has come. We all know, like we've been talking constantly about Chat GPT. So there's a thing called virtual influencers, which I got to know about like literally the other day when my super boss told me that there is this concept called virtual influencers. Let's do this. And I was like, okay, I'll go back and I'll actually read about it. So like as a marketer, you have to be, the trends are changing so fast, Nikhil, that you have to be super proactive, because like as we discussed, right, we're not, app marketing is not about traditional marketing at all. It's like advanced marketing methods. We are catering to Gen Z and millennials majorly. We're not even catering to a generation which is
Boomer.
beyond these two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So our audience base is so smart, even smarter than us
Hmm.
sometimes, that you have to put in that extra effort to be updated with what's happening in the industry. A second,
That's right.
it's very important to integrate all these AI tools and in your day-to-day working, when it comes to making your GTM, making your content strategy or influencer marketing. But having said that, at the same time, I would say as a marketer, it's very important to also develop those relationships with your partners and your customers, personal relationships. So you have to identify those few set of influencers in your community that believe in your vision and develop those
Hmm.
personal connections with them so that they can work with you in the long term. And same goes for customers as well. If you start maintaining that one-on-one relationship, unlike a bank which is pushy from day one, you do it after some time when you actually understand the intent, you have seen the metrics, you have read the you have analyzed the data. That's when you start connecting with those customers one-on-one, understand their pain points, and actually like customize your app basis that. So that's when your customers will really appreciate you. And thankfully, being in app marketing, you can actually like, you have such good rapport with your product team that you can go and tell them that, you know what, this is what my customer wants, this is what my community is saying, can we please integrate this in our product? And they will be happy to do it, because that's ultimately going to get us more such customers, and that's going to win heart of the customers that are there with us. So in app marketing, it's very integral to be very proactive. At the same time, very like collaboration becomes important, because you go back and give those feedbacks, and then that's how the product is shaped up. So like after 5 years, your product will actually be what your customers are asking for, and not what you want your product to be. It's going to be a mixture of your own vision and what your community wants. So it's very community driven, app marketing, I
That's
would
right.
say.
Awesome. So, Vrinda, switching gears, we'll go from app marketing into influencer marketing. Influencer marketing is kind of very interesting field, because youngsters today, the most like the first career that they want to get into is like a content creator. And obviously they can just be a little amount of content creators, like you say now, there are just a few amount of bankable stars. So but you see that industry where you are working with influencers, so that is influencer marketing. A lot of people also want to get into influencer marketing, and it is like, on a serious note, in marketing, I would say the one of the highest ROI if you take the last few years, if you are doing influencer marketing. So regarding that, I think if you could share something about any kind of skills or any kind of advice you have for people who want to get into this stream?
Sure. So, interestingly, I have worked in this field for the last 3 to 4 years now, roughly. Influencer marketing. I've been on the agency side when I was with Blockwiz, which is a global crypto marketing agency, and now I'm on a brand side where I'm working with CoinDCX and Octo, which is um, uh, actually an expansion of CoinDCX. It's a interesting DeFi self custody wallet. Maybe we can talk about it a little later in detail. So influencer marketing as a space has been very very interesting, and it's evolved like anything since the last 3 4 years. So it's actually like a $1 billion industry at this point, like you rightly mentioned. But at the same time, I would like to also say that the kind of like the pulse that the industry has right now is like there are a lot of content creators out there, right? So to garnish that niche as a creator, or even from a marketer's lens, to find a creator who is good for your product is a big challenge, because there are so many creators out there. And I have seen the industry changing in a way that there have been so many scams as well in the name of influencer marketing, where like influencers have been taking like heavy amount of money to promote a certain brand, and they've been just selling it left, right, and center by not being actually associated with the brand. Because in originality of it, influencer marketing is actually about influencing people, and you as an influencer have to associate to the values of the product to some extent, or the company that you're marketing or you're trying to sell, because ultimately, if that's not the case, you're sort of bluffing the consumer, right? You're like, for example, Ananya Pandey is a macro level, like a big massy influencer for this brand, sneaker, which is this brand that she's endorsing, Skechers, right? So if like she is not like really using it herself, or she is not aligned to the values of that brand, like the core values, like really pushing someone to focus on sports and on personal fitness, on running on a day to day basis. If she herself as a figure is not aligned to that concept of the brand, then it will not get the brand any business, or it will not make any sense to the customer as well. So the primary learning is that as a customer, as a brand, it's very important to understand that whether you're onboarding the right influencer or not for yourself, whether that face even makes sense for your brand or not. Will that influencer be able to connect to your target audience in the future or not? Because it's a heavy investment, Nikhil. Influencer marketing is no joke for a company. It involves like hundreds and thousands of dollars invested. Like one micro influencer in today's world charges like approximately $3,000 to $4,000 for one video, globally. Micro influencer who has like 10,000, 12,000 followers, honestly. So a macro can go up to like
But Vrinda, why do you
20,
feel
thirty
this
thousand
is there?
dollars.
Like, how are they able to command this pricing that you mentioned?
That's very interesting, actually. That's because of the jump that you and I have seen in this industry suddenly, because the wave came in where influencer marketing, it's like a fad, Nikhil, to be honest. As a marketer, if you ask me, uh, it might sustain, it might not sustain. And I think in the future, from my experience and learning, I think only smart influencer marketing will sustain. When I say smart influencer marketing, I mean like very very high level personalized influencer marketing, where now brands have also become very smart in terms of picking the influencers for themselves, and they are not picking influencer for just one campaign. They are picking influencers for the long term engagement. They're signing, big brands are signing contracts with influencers, or even brand ambassadors for that matter. There was a time 3 years ago where every influencer was charging like $3,000, $4,000 for just one video, and brands were happily paying it because it was a different market. It was a like we were in sitting in a very good market condition 2 years ago, right? Like there was so much money in the economy. There was so much
Mm,
investment. Investors had just flooded so much money, and companies had like
mm,
really good marketing
That's
budgets,
right.
and they were putting all that amount in
Also,
influencer.
marketers, they feel there's that competition also when your competitor is, signing on certain level of celebrity influencer, then you also have to follow. So there are certain pressures also the marketer is under. It's not like
Yeah,
you can take that decision, directly without any consequence. So that I just want to tell you, like, that even when the pricing and all, sometimes you have to give in to it, and that's what we are seeing also.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, as a brand, like the advice would be just to be very, very careful where you are putting in your money, because influencer marketing is an expensive channel. It requires huge budget, huge resource and time involvement. It's not like something that you just give an agency and they'll manage it. You have to be deeply involved in strategy, in content, in the entire campaign, the messaging that's going out, because ultimately those influencers are representing your brand, right, in front of like millions of people on YouTube or Twitter or any other channel. So if the messaging is not right, then your brand value and equity is going for a toss in the long run. So you have to be very, very hands on with the strategy, with the messaging, with your value prop that you're trying to sell through those influencers. So there are
That's right.
different ways of looking into it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Vrinda, we'll come to that in the next point. Now, if we can cover about the person in influencer marketing in terms of what skills they have to work from, and also if you want to get into what kind of qualities maybe you have to have as an influencer marketer.
Sure. So, I think it's very important to understand the field first of all. You should dive deep into what's trending, what are the different categories of influencer, which is a very basic thing to understand, but at the same time very important. So, like there are these micro or nano influencers, then there are macro influencers, then there are mid-level influencers who are like sort of like, so when I say micro, it's like 5 to 20,000. Macro is like mid level is like 20 to 1 lakh. Macro is like above 1 lakh. Uh, and I'm talking about the subscriber
Hmm.
base basically.
I think
So,
in celebrity would be 1 million plus.
yeah. That's a different genre. That's like more of a brand ambassador.
Yeah,
Celebrities are more of brand ambassadors, and influencers are typically these YouTubers and, like Twitter folks
that's right.
who are sort of like,
But even though in
we call
that
it.
category, those who have kind of become really big, like Bhuvan Bam, Afish Chanchalani, they would come under celebrity influencer only.
Yeah, you're right. Like they
Okay,
would come under celebrity influencers. Yeah. So it's like
that's
typically
it.
celebrities like Ananya Pandey and, like Alia Bhatt. These are like brand ambassadors. Tanmay Bhatt, Prajakta Kohli, these could be typically celebrity influencers because they've become that big now.
Okay, okay.
Basis their reach. So that's how you differentiate. So coming back to, so like exactly, these are the basics that you and I right now talking about, which a marketer has to sort of understand and dive deep into in terms of like, what is influencer marketing all about? What are these influencers? Who are they? What kind of, another very important thing is like, what kind of audience are they catering to? So,
Hmm.
as a marketer, if you're working for a tech company, right, like for a tech brand, then you should automatically be more inclined towards like tech influencers who are into deep into AI, who are talking about gaming, all those developments
Who
that
are
are
reviewing
happening in
all
the tech
kinds of
field.
gadgets.
Yes. So you have to identify your niche. You have to identify that which influencers you think as a brand are actually talking to your target audience on a day-to-day basis. Using their content. It could be video. It could be a Twitter thread. It could be anything, because influencers are quite big on Twitter and YouTube and even on Instagram. Actually, I wouldn't miss Instagram. It's a big channel now. Most of us are scrolling Instagram throughout the day, and I have also like made so many purchases literally using Instagram, looking at some influencers talking about a particular beauty product, and I immediately just place the order. So it's that
Yeah.
powerful sometimes. So it's very, another very important metrics here would be to look at the channel. Like if you are a beauty care brand, for example, right, like you want to sell cosmetics, for you the channel that you should look at typically should be Instagram, because not Twitter as much. Why? Because most of your audience is sitting on Instagram. Most of your target audience is is not on YouTube or Twitter. You would never
That's
buy
it.
a cosmetic product from a YouTube. You'll actually, like, you can scroll on Instagram and you'll just see that ad and you'll
That
probably place the order.
one more thing I think in here would be as a person into influencer marketing is have to analyze their audience like a little bit. You have to do a lot of research about their audience, go
Absolutely.
into like the followers engagement also. Look at there are I think
Yeah.
certain formulas also for it. You have certain tools also looking at the level of engagement and all that. Also maybe past campaigns where they how they highlight on the media kit and all, and you have to do also a
Yeah.
bit of research on that. So it is quite a lot of activities within that. So it's not all fun and
Yeah.
games that people perceive in influencer marketing. There's a
Oh,
lot of
not at
since the
all.
spends are also increasing. It is going to get
Yeah.
more and more technical because you want to get obviously it's about ROI today in the digital age in
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
accordingly, kind of
So
uh, align yourself for that. Yeah.
So yeah, just to quickly like catch up on what you just said. So these are two important metrics that we look at essentially: CPV, which is cost per view, and ER, which is engagement rate, as marketeers for each channel that we want to onboard. Essentially the CPV depends from brand to brand basis the budgets that they have. So it could be like $5 for a particular brand, and how CPV is calculated is the cost that the influencer has quoted divided by the number of average views that the channel has, like the video is getting. So
Hmm.
a channel might have 1 million of followers, but the average views might be like 15,000. you know
Hmm.
so it's very important to not just look at the follower base. Oh wow, this guy has like 1 million followers, he's great. No, it's not that, because that person might have just 5,000 average views. And the reason to that could be poor content, bot followers, which is a very common thing these
Hmm.
days. Brands are literally, like, individuals and brands both are paying for followers. That's another very important thing that I would like to highlight, is that you have to be very, very careful about this fact that nowadays, whatever followers that you see on a page, 50-60% of them, chances are that they are paid, or they're not
Hmm.
real followers of a brand, because even brands are paying, even influencers individually are paying to gain followers, because it's the whole game of
That's it.
numbers, as you rightly said, right? So as a
That's right.
marketeer, it becomes
And as a
very, very
follower,
important
what
to.
happens is that it is like the entry ticket. Like if you don't have that amount of followers, the marketer is not going to look at you also. So that is what is
Yeah,
leading to all the
absolutely.
corruption in the system. Yeah.
So you have to be like, not just like quantitative metrics. You have to look at like when I was working with the agency, uh, like there was this clear instruction that I had given to my team, and we had identified with the founders and everyone that we will not just look at numbers. We will also like go on each channel and look at the comment and the engagement, the conversation that influencer is actually doing with his community
That's it.
through comments, because that really shows
So
how
Vrinda, will I
genuine that
think
influencer
then
is.
we'll come under the part of what our topic was about the right fit, like the how to
Yeah.
choose the influencers. I think we'll kind of get into that, like you were since you were segueing into that only. We'll then continue that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, whenever you're choosing a right influencer, first you have to understand the demographics, right? Like, if you want to target, like, for example, India, you can look for somebody who is from US, but at the same time, you should always ask their influencer, hey, you know what? Please share your demographics data. The influencer or agency will happily do it. And if you see that India is like 40% viewership of that influencer, then it slightly makes sense to go for it. But if India is, let's say, 5% when it comes to the viewership, and that the influencer does not have Indian audience, then as an Indian brand, like if you want to create presence in Indian market, it doesn't make sense to go with that influencer, right? So
Mhm.
it's very important to understand the demographics of your influencer. A Second, like I said, that once you understand the demographics, then you have to understand the kind of niche that you're looking at. So like what kind of influencers, like finance, tech, gaming, beauty, travel bloggers, food bloggers. So basis your product, you have to identify the influencers that are catering to that audience directly or indirectly. It doesn't need really. So for example, if I'm a tech company, my target audience could also be watching gaming videos. right? Like a PUBG
Mm.
influencer who is promoting PUBG, because those gamers are also techies. So it's not necessary that I only go for a tech influencer. I can also go for a gaming influencer, right? So this
Yes.
is how you have to be very smart with identifying your niche, and
Yeah, because
creating a
that's
list
so
of
important that
influencers.
many developers are into gaming. So
Absolutely.
you have to look at your audience का interest क्या है. Just not like what is the
Yeah,
domain and then वो हिसाब से just
yeah.
choose that influencer in that. It could be like these kind of things also have to look in deeper, then you get more options.
Absolutely, you have to integrate your, like your thoughts. You have to be very smart when it comes to like expanding that thought process. You cannot be like, "Acha, mera beauty product hai, I'll just go for a beauty influencer." Period. No, you can think of like somebody who is, for example, a travel blogger, and then the travel blogger is
Mm.
talking about beauty. uh, a lot of his or her audience might be interested in the beauty products. Why not? A person who is traveling is normally, for example, carrying a travel kit with themselves, with them,
That's
so that person can actually use that travel kit to promote a brand. So could be different techniques that you can
That's
explore. It's
right.
endless,
And
Nikhil.
like for example, in a beauty influencer, a female, a lot of males are following. So it could, if you look at the audience, you can like look at
Hmm.
what kind of product, even a male product that can be. Because if most of your audience
Yeah,
is into that, you can see and then accordingly promote. So
yeah,
kind of think out of the box because obviously it's
yeah,
not like what it looks from just plain data. You have to
yeah.
get deeper in it. Yeah,
Absolutely, it'll be very creative. Like marketing, just circling back to basics, is not about just being very. It's definitely being heavily data oriented, but a marketer has to be very very creative in terms of his or her approach. Only then you can be successful in the field. So yeah, that's very important at every step.
that's right. We'll get into about the trends, tech products. You have your SaaS products. Some of the things that should be used are happening now, and what marketers can use as techniques, or
Yeah.
if there are certain tools also, you can talk about that.
Sure. So essentially, like I'll start from influencer marketing because that's what we've been talking about. So like there was a huge interest and alignment towards macro influencers in the last few years, but currently a lot of brands have started being very careful with the money that they invest, right? And macro influencers are super expensive. So brands are carefully choosing micro influencers, the ones who are upcoming and who have a promising content, who let's say are sitting at a 10,000 base right now but have a potential to become 1 lakh in the next 6 months because
Hmm.
their content is very promising and because they are catering to the right niche. Like for example, AI and tech influencers, they will have a very good uh, progression in the next 1 year because this industry is booming right now. So it's very obvious that they will grow. So like someone like an Ishan Sharma, who's a very young techie. I have seen his YouTube channel growing from like literally like a 10,000, 20,000 to today. He's like what, like I think 6, 7 lakhs or maybe more than that. So like 10x growth in the last 1 or 2 years, and he's like a 21-year-old techie. So
Hmm.
that's how you have to identify that which channels have that potential, micro channels, and you onboard them in their initial phase as a brand, and then you stick with them, they stick with you. So a micro influencer strategy is very important, which is trending in like you'll see Amazon, Mintra, all these folks hiring a lot of massive micro influencers on Instagram who are promoting their products. India is a very price driven market, right? Price sensitive market. So what they are
Hmm.
doing is they are onboarding like these small like fashion influencers who have like 2 to 3K followers on Instagram or maybe 10K.
They are from certain
And
small towns also.
yes, yes, yes. And they are like talking about like, this dress is for 100 rupees. I bought it from Amazon. This dress is for
Hmm.
like it's in hundreds literally. So they are attacking the
Yeah.
masses using these small influencers, and that's a very smart way of going about it, right? Like if you think of
Hmm.
it, it's very cost
That's right.
effective and it's getting you like like
Yeah.
massive reach.
Because
You'll see they have
definitely the
millions of views.
initial follows you have are like a loyalist because um,
Yeah,
after a certain period of time it is automated mode, right? Like you see someone's channel has got certain followers, so you add it, you kind of do, but you're
yeah,
maybe not really loyal to that channel or something, or
yeah,
really
yeah,
that much engaging with it. So that audience,
Yeah.
like a 3K audience, maybe compared to somebody who has say 30K, that 3K is more active, and maybe there is a more higher chance of sale through that audience.
Absolutely, yeah. And you also have to look at the potential, and the kind of like those guys have like 5,000 followers, and the videos have like millions of views.
Hmm.
Just because people want that. Like, India is a price sensitive market. People want cheap clothes. No, not everyone can shop from a Zara or a Marks and Spencers.
Hmm.
80-90% of the population still shops from Amazon, and like these platforms. And Amazon, if you see, has actually become a very very competitive platform in terms of pricing as well. They have the cheapest clothes and good quality clothes also. So companies are playing very smart. They are looking at the kind of audience that they are catering to, and then they decide the strategy, and then they decide the influencer. So pricing also plays a huge role when it comes to the kind of influencers you want to onboard. If you have a luxury product, then you better go for a big influencer who can cater to the crowd which can actually afford luxury, because these small folks cannot cater to that crowd, right?
That's right.
So yeah.
That's great.
um,
So, in terms of like marketing trend, where you as a marketer are going to pivot towards certain things that you are noticing, and you're going to maybe apply it in the near future. About that, if you could share a little.
Sure. So currently, like, I feel like there is a lot of emphasis on short form content as well. Like we spoke about it earlier as well. Even when it comes to influencer marketing, Reels is something that's very much into trends. So like
And now
even
it's being
YouTube
integrated
Shorts.
into social commerce. That is one thing which is happening more. Also,
Yeah,
update about YouTube. Now YouTube also will be having those social commerce integrations, which they are doing even for very small creators. Also, they have launched that thing. So yeah, that is something interesting where the marketers have a bigger base of influencers to kind of latch on and run the campaigns.
absolutely. And as brands, it's very important to not just go and be a part of a YouTuber's channel, but also to, because nowadays, if you've noticed, brands have their own YouTube channels as well. So brands have started inviting these influencers and like collaborate with them for their own channels as well. So today I can
Like
call
a takeover
someone
kind
on.
of that. I think term is the takeover for
Yeah.
that particular video, which is almost, it seems that it is he's made it on his channel, but it's on the brand channel.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, like, you have to also think about your own brand at the end of the day, right? Because you're investing so much money, so you better make like a long-term value out of it. Because if it's just the influencer channel, then it's his or her personal branding that's happening. So that's pretty short-term for you. But if it's on your channel, then it's a long-term game. So that's also something that you can keep in mind. Also, like a lot of AI integration when it comes to influencer marketing, also like virtual influencers that are very very brand specific, that because now moving forward, I'm sure this will pick up a lot, like virtual influencers versus human influencers. Although influencer marketing is a very human driven field, so
Hmm.
I personally feel like that will always stay. But at the same time, just to keep yourself up with the technology, it's important to kind of like dwell into like virtual influencer space as well, and it's worth exploring, while at the same time having that personal relationship with the promising influencers that you feel are for your brand in the long run. So that is very very important. A long term relationship is, I think, one of the very important things that a marketer needs to consider. Then like I feel like there is a huge scope of like interactive content, like for example what you and I are doing right now. Like, you have to like really connect with your community more than ever now. uh, like people are not just going to read your post and buy a product. Like,
Hmm.
if they feel like there is no real connection and there is no real interaction
Hmm.
happening on a regular basis, like Twitter spaces,
That's it.
like
Yeah, I think
AMAs,
many
things like that.
companies, they'll have a live stream promoting certain category of goods or services at that time, and then they have an influencer also presenting that. So that is
Yeah.
also coming up quite a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Integrations of these short videos on your product. So, like if there is a product app, then Zomato might have a influencer talking about a particular cafe on the app and promoting that cafe. Just an example. So it could be like, somebody explaining your feature in a better way, like your own internal person, YouTube creator. Brands have started hiring their own YouTube creators, in house, full time YouTube creators, and they are
Hmm.
nurturing them, and they are actually giving them all the support to grow as a face of the brand. So this is how things are
That's right.
changing altogether. So for young marketeers, becoming a YouTube creator for a brand is actually a career option.
That's
So
right.
brands are hiring creators
Yeah,
for their
like
YouTube
because
channels
if you
nowadays.
see a marketer now, you're creating so much of video content, like it's a stream, a webinar, or you're talking about your product, you're interviewing people, and also you are indirectly you have to be a good presenter also. If in this day and age, digitally, if you have to promote your product or service.
Absolutely. So that's a big career avenue as well for Gen Zs, where they can actually apply for something, for becoming a creator of a brand. So there are
Definitely,
it's quite interesting how trends are changing in influencer marketing.
that's right. So, Vrinda, I think as a marketing professional, it's very kind of important to keep growing, get good, mentors, advice from people who have, been there, done that. Also, I've seen many of these people who are experienced. Many of them are very open if you reach out to them and, you have certain doubts and all. You'll be surprised. Like I tell everyone that you might feel that person is out of reach, but maybe they also look at guiding people, and that's a part of it. Like being a person, you want to also help others, and obviously you it's not all about money. You like enjoy someone's company, or you like the questions, you feel them enlightening, you like their company in general ways, and you have like various kind of meetups, and also there's no like business objective, but you kind of like to share your views. And also regarding that, in your career, you would like to share the role of the mentors, and how you have grown regarding that. Your audio, there is some issue, Vrinda.
Oh, sure, sure. Sorry. Am I audible now?
Yeah, just I think
Yeah,
I'll just tell you to when to start. 1 second. Oh, I'll up to this thing. Okay.
sure. So this question actually makes me like revisit the last 7 years, and like I'm actually answering this question not from the brain but from the heart. That like my mentors have played a huge role in my career journey, and when I say mentors, I mean my immediate reporting managers, my leaders, the CEOs, the CMOs that I've worked with, and thankfully I've gotten like a chance, and I'm privileged to get to work with these folks because they are pretty senior in every way, like in the industry, their experience, and the value that they add into the system. And I'm also here. I'm talking also about my professors in back then in college. Like I'm still in touch with my folks from SPJ and my folks from IBS. So those professors and these managers and the senior level folks, the CEOs and everyone, they've just added so much value in my journey. And just to pick up on few things that I've learned from them, it's like just be very objective when it comes to any business problem. Think through it. Think think a lot, like spend days on thinking. Don't jump into execution. A lot of times what we like humans have this tendency to just jump on like how कैसे करना है इसको solve कैसे करना है. They don't think about why, like why are we solving for, what are we solving for. And I mean, a lot of my leaders in my current company also have been forcing me to think a lot about like why are we doing this, what are we trying to achieve out of it. So the strategic thinking at this level in your career, it becomes like integral, and you can only grow when you think at that level. Of course it's important to know how to execute and to be in those shoes, like to be able to like run everything from scratch, because that's what you do. Like you don't just immediately get a team when you get hired in a company. That's not how it works. You have to start from scratch. You have to sort of like do the groundwork. Like as they say, it's a very classic saying that you don't get into marketing without doing actual sales. Why they say it? Because it's very important to be on ground, deal with customers, do the sales, do the hard work, because that's when you'll understand what your brand exactly stands for, and then you build, you become a marketeer eventually. So like it's very important to do the groundwork, and that's what I have been taught in the last few years through my leaders. The second very important thing is like you should really know how to sort of like collaborate. You can't work in silos. You should know how to work with your own peers, different teams around you. Be nice to people in general. Be like, carry that positive energy with you, and always have, like, you don't always have to like necessarily keep talking. Just make sure whenever you're talking you are adding value to a discussion, right? Like if there is a discussion happening between some senior
So,
folks,
Vrinda,
only.
like your like to audience in general, you can tell them, because many people, let's be honest, they look at a business outcome only of certain things. So, in a like a business outcome only way, what you can say, being a mentor or like advising people in general, like who come to you, like what is the advantage that you get from that? Like little bit into that, just for that audience.
Sorry, I didn't get your question exactly. Advantage.
Yeah, like I
Can
mean to
you?
say that if I am a mentor, what benefit that gives me also in that context, like you can share for people. End of the day, many people they look at an outcome only. That we have to be honest about that. So for them, like an actual an outcome out of that, what can be positive? Yeah.
So Nikhil, I'll be very honest and candid here. So, I personally feel like mentorship is not about immediate outcomes. I'm being very, very blunt about it. It's a journey. You have to have that intent. I've seen a lot of people, they have a very transactional relationship with their managers or leaders. Whereas if you are saying mentor, it's not a transactional relationship anymore. You are trusting that person to sort of help you shape up your career. You go to that person when you need a career advice. When you want to, let's say you're given 10 tasks in an org, you're not able to like focus and spend time on those important deliverables because you have 10 things to do. You go to that person and you can literally, you have a relationship like that. Hey, you know what, can you please help me identifying three things that I should prioritize out of these 10? So small small things like that on a day to day. Hey, I mean, I have had these discussions uh, with my managers and literally the founders of the company that, hey, you know what, I'm done with this particular area of work. I want to do something else now. I want to explore more. And let's figure out something for me in the next 6 months. And they are happy to do that, as far as I'm adding value to the company, as far as I've already achieved and delivered uh, in the past for the company.
That's
So
right.
these high level
Hmm.
conversations are very, very important
That's
to
right.
have.
In terms of answering my own question that I had, and to the people, I would say you can try it once when you go for any event, or when you are kind of networking, and then or people reaching out to you, you feel in terms of obviously the happiness aspect of it when you are helping, that is there. And secondly, when everything around you like is just your position, or it becomes very transactional. So when you get away from that, like when you are in some kind of an event where you are mentoring people and all, um, that even forget the person, it uplifts you also. You feel, you look forward
Yeah,
to that. And I've interacted people, and it's, and even when I've done it, that's the actual case. So those things are beyond that, the financial or money aspect. And you'll be very surprised in the long term also, there are a lot of benefits that you get your students, because end of the day,
yeah,
whatever position, that is a temporary thing. It's about that,
absolutely.
yeah, what you create with the people, the feelings and all those also things are there as a human being overall, right? We are not here to just earn money, pay bills and all.
Yeah, yeah, of course,
And
of
that's
course. So
what is
today only
driving, like
I
if
reached
you
out.
see people, when you say a mental health crisis is there and all, it's because so many things are just transactional. If your whole life you're living
Yeah,
transactionally, so that is end of the
absolutely.
day affecting you negatively. So you should look at fulfilling things, when people discuss on that. That is what is when you are helping the others in your domain. When you are in a position to do it, why shouldn't you, right? You will get that thing. And there are quite a few. I mean, you can say online also organizations, and this we have meetups also where this thing can be done, and you can be part of it.
Absolutely, Nikhil. I mean, I'm totally aligned to what you said, and I got your question a little more better now. And honestly, I get that feeling whenever today also if I reach out to somebody whom I've worked with like 6 years ago, but I had a very good working relationship and a personal relationship with, that person is happy to help me in any way that they can. They will probably hire me back in the same company if I ask for,
Yeah,
because the
or like
relationship that I
refer you
have and because
somewhere
of the.
because they also have a huge network. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
absolutely. So, like, these folks become your mentor, and mentor mentee relationship is actually the best relationship in the world. I would say it goes beyond
That's it.
all the tangible benefits that you get out of like a business transaction, let's say. So,
That's right.
definitely.
Awesome. So now we'll a little bit pivot towards networking. So say we've talked about where it is your senior, you are asking, in terms of as a mentor help or you're being a mentor here. Now let's talk about in your domain and the people who are at a kind of same level as you. So in terms like your peers, so how do you kind of network, build relationships on social media?
So it's on social media, you're saying. Okay, so it's very interesting. Like,
The via
I would
via
like to
social
be.
media, because that is where you get, let's be honest, like I think we are gone beyond a time where we in person anything is happening. It is via social media only you get to the
Yeah,
tribe that
yeah.
you want to.
Yeah, yeah. No, so like absolutely, you're right there, and I would like to say that for me, I have seen a tremendous change in my own career trajectory. The calls that I've got from companies basis my presence on LinkedIn, for example. Uh, I have started becoming active on LinkedIn in the last 2 to 3 years because my profession demanded that. Business. I was into business development as well, and partnerships. So I was reaching out to a lot of people using LinkedIn. So that's when I
Hmm.
ventured out that okay, LinkedIn is a powerful platform. I can literally sit here in Jaipur and reach out to people in like UK, US, wherever in different time zones, and set up a call with them. So that's where it started, and after that, I literally started adding a lot more folks, and I focused a lot on building my own LinkedIn network. And you will be surprised to know Google reached out to me last year. Google's HR team reached out to me purely because of my LinkedIn.
Hmm.
um, they actually like went through my LinkedIn, and an HR reached out to me for a opportunity with them. It was a very good role, which they reached out to me for, and I got interviewed, and I actually cleared 3 rounds as well. Unfortunately, I didn't get shortlisted in the end, but it was a big deal for me to get interviewed for Google.
That's right.
And that's
Because the
purely
audience
because
is
of
the
my.
important thing, that the HRs are using filters to even shortlist people. So the ones who
Absolutely,
are more active on this LinkedIn,
absolutely.
and I got more engagement, they are coming up higher in the search.
LinkedIn is like your virtual CV. Nobody nowadays asks you for a CV anymore. People want to see your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah,
It's not about a PDF that you send them on an email. They will just go through your LinkedIn, and if they see that this person is actually like, because it's like it shows how serious you are about your career as well. If you can
hmm,
be active on Instagram and a Facebook or a Twitter, why can't you be active on LinkedIn? At
yeah,
the end of the day, it's your bread and butter, right? It's getting you the
yeah.
right opportunities. So I
It's
think
like a
it's very,
social
very
proof also
important.
for people to see, about the that professional basically. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's your career trajectory. Like today, if you go through my LinkedIn, you will see like, okay, this person has done this. She studied from this college. These are the projects that she's worked on. These are the areas that she has expertise on. So it gives you idea of the person, like what is this person all about. So for a
yeah,
recruiter, it also becomes very easy to hire that person potentially.
that's right.
So LinkedIn is a very powerful tool when it comes to networking and building relationships, and I think like young professionals should definitely take it very seriously from day one. uh, because I feel like I personally have lost a lot of time on that. Like, had I been active on LinkedIn since like last 5 6 years when I began my journey after my masters, I think I would have been probably hired by Google till now. Not even kidding. because I would have used that time more efficiently on LinkedIn, doing a lot more networking and stuff. And it can actually help you set up these calls with like the founders of the company. Like I have received responses from founders when I've reached out to them that, like, hey, you are working on something so like interesting. I would like to contribute as well. You
Hmm.
write this message and they will respond to you immediately, Nikhil. Like they will come back to you saying that, yeah, sure, let's set up a quick
And that's
one-on-one on
because
this.
also another thing, like before you directly message a founder, is you built your profile over a period of time. They can see that. So
Yeah,
work on your profile, document your things, put
yeah,
content also, work on content, like for example, a
yeah,
podcast or any
yeah,
kind of explainer, a video, anything, or interesting,
yeah.
articles or something. So then it kind of contributes to you getting seen, basically.
Absolutely. People have to like see that this person is serious about his or her career path, and the field that they're working in. Like today, if someone reaches out to me, I get a lot of people saying that, yeah, you're doing good in the marketing field, because it reflects on my LinkedIn that, I've
Hmm.
done this is in marketing. So like it's your image basically that you're giving out there to people, and you never know what opportunity comes in your way through that. If a Google can reach out, then I think a Netflix can also reach out. Any big company can reach out to you basis your LinkedIn profile.
That's right. Now we'll go towards, as a marketing professional, what all can you do to grow yourself, or something like some certain way, where, because I feel a marketer, various different kind of skill sets they should have. They should know about what's happening in the industry, social media in general. So any kind of tips you would like to share to better yourself as a marketing professional?
Definitely. I think, that continues. So when I was in SPGen for a course, I still remember my dean telling us constantly that it's important as a marketer to keep learning and unlearning and then learning again. Because as I previously mentioned as well, marketing is a very, very dynamic field. Things are changing so fast in marketing and in general in the generation that we are living in. Everything is changing so fast, like the emergence of AI, the emergence of digitalization in the last few years. Everybody is now using Paytm. Nobody carries cash anymore. So as a marketer, you have to understand what's there, what the market wants, because at the end of the day, you are the one representing any brand. Like it's not like you are. So I look at myself not just as a Web3 marketeer. I look at Web3 as a tough product that I'm marketing as a marketeer. It's tough to sell. Had I been in a Nika, I would say that, yeah, this is comparatively easy to sell. So from a marketing perspective, you have to look at different industries as different products that you're trying to sell to the market. You have to understand the market really well. You should know your target audience very, very well. And you need to keep introspecting that. You have to keep asking that question on the ground level to yourself again and again, and have this discussion with your team as well. Ki, yaar, are we going in the right direction? Like, is this the target market for us? Because those discussions are very healthy. Having those debates is a very good approach time and again, because it's not one definite answer. Your strategy can change basis what's working for you, what's not working for you. So marketing is a lot to do with A/B testing, and constantly A/B testing with different ways of marketing, because one campaign can do super well at a certain point of time, then when there is a good market condition, the same, because people have that money to spend. The same campaign will not do well when there is a bear market, when there is no money in the market, when the inflation is high. So you have to understand the market really well. You have to understand your audience really well. You have to really dive deep into what's trending. Like Google a lot more, use AI, use chat GPT for your own good. As marketeers, I would say that's very, very important. Today you can literally put a question on chat GPT, and it'll answer everything for you. It'll summarize everything for you. So just understand what's working and what's not working. Do a lot of competitor research. That's also very, very important. Yeah, what's worked for, like for Zomato bolega yaar, what's working for Swiggy. Then basis that they will decide ki, acha, now if you interestingly see, Zomato was all about ad sales, like selling ad spaces before.
Hmm.
They immediately changed their model to food delivery as soon as Swiggy entered the market, because they realized that this is a huge market. Ad sales will saturate at some point, because people, like restaurants, will stop spending huge chunk of money on ads, but delivery is something that's going to take up in the future, and Swiggy has already entered
Mm.
the market. Zomato was smart to realize that, yeah, this is a huge market, and they immediately changed their product focus. Their product focus was ad sales, because I've worked with Zomato as well. So from ad sales to food delivery business, they completely changed their entire entire segmentation, and now
Mhm.
major chunk of their revenue comes from food delivery. And that's what they sell, that's what they market. They don't even talk about selling spaces anymore on the app. That's just a byproduct, you know.
That's
So
right.
all these things also very important.
That's right. So awesome. It's been, I think, a great discussion we had. We covered interesting aspects on app influencer marketing. And since you have, worked for big brands in both these, types of marketing, it was, great insights we got on that. So, Vrinda, we just would like to thank you, taking out your precious time. And definitely you've been very busy over the past, I think, a month or so. And I really appreciate that you come down and share your views, with my audience that is there. So thanks a lot. Anything you would want to, share with the audience as we wrap up?
Sure. I mean, I would really like to thank you with all my heart, and for being so patient with me in the last few weeks, because there was a lot going on, and we couldn't catch up. And I was actually personally also looking forward to this session as much as you would be, because these topics really pump me up, and I have worked in this industry for a long time to be able to say that. And I was actually looking forward to sharing the knowledge that I have built all these years, and what I've learned from from the industry that I'm in, and from my mentors and everyone around me, and I'm highly grateful for that. I really, really enjoyed interacting with you, and talking about it. Was almost like a brain exercise, for me, discussing all these interesting
Yes,
areas with you.
definitely.
And I just hope it really helps the upcoming young marketeers in some way or the other. And I'm always there on LinkedIn if anyone wants to reach out as well for any kind of help or support. I'd be happy to do that.
Definitely. Thanks a lot, Vrinda. And I'll wrap up the session. Thank you for joining. And please subscribe to the MI podcast. I'll see you then later. Thank
I
you.
will.
Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.